Okay, Unit 2, Learning Target 5C. I can factor quadratics with a greater than 1. Our first example is 3x squared plus 32x plus 20, and we want to make sure that we check for a GCF. Very, very important that we check for a GCF. So 3, 32, and 20 are not all divisible by a common factor other than 1, so no GCF there. And the three terms do not all have the same variable, so there's no common factor there. So we are going to take some steps here. This is called divide and slide. And we multiply our A value, which is 3, times our C value. So 3 times 20, which is 60. We're going to replace the C with the product of 3 times 20, or the product of A times C, and we rewrite our trinomial without the A value. So my new quadratic trinomial is x squared plus 32x plus 60. Notice that the A is not there anymore. It's kind of gone. Now, I go ahead and factor this part like normal. So I set up my two sets of parentheses. I know I have a positive, positive, so that'll be a positive, positive in my parentheses. I need my factors of 60 that add to 32, so that's going to be a 30 and a 2. I know my factors of x squared are x and x, and I look like I'm done, but because I multiplied at the beginning, I now have to divide. So I divide both the 30 and the 2 by the original A value. So the original A was 3. So I'm going to divide 30 by 3, and I'm going to divide 2 by 3. Now when I do this division, 30 does divide by 3, and that's 10. So that simplifies to 10. So this first factor is the quantity of x plus 10. However, 2 is not evenly divisible by 3. So the 3 is going to slide in front of its x. So my second factor is 3x plus 2. Now let's try one more. We have the quantity, or the trinomial, of 10x squared plus, can't talk. We have the trinomial of 10x squared minus 11x minus 8. We're going to multiply 10 and 8. We're going to rewrite our trinomial, x squared minus 11x minus 80. We know that we're going to need two sets of parentheses, and because they have two minus signs, we're going to need a positive and a negative. We know the factors of x squared are x times x, and we need the factors of 80 that add up to 11. Well, 16 times 5 equals 80, and 16 minus 5 would equal 11. So we want the 16 with the minus and the 5 with the plus. But because we multiplied, we have to divide by 10, so we divide the 5 by 10, and we divide the 16 by 10. We do reduce both fractions. 5/10 is the same as 1/2, and 16/10 is the same as 8/5. So I do have to slide, and I have to actually slide twice. The 2 slides in front of its x, so that factor is 2x plus 1. And the 5 slides in front of its x, so this factor is 5x minus 8. On my next example, 54v squared minus 150v plus 84, I remember to check for a GCF, and oh, I have a GCF. The GCF is 6. So the 6 comes to the very front of the parentheses like a distributive property. Well, 54v squared divided by 6 would be 9v squared, minus 150v divided by 6 is 25v, plus 84 divided by 6 is 14. So there's my new trinomial. Now I'm going to divide and slide like normal. So I multiply the 9 and the 14, which gives me 126. So my new trinomial is v squared minus 25v plus 126. I know I need two sets of parentheses, and I know that since I have a minus and a positive, I will need a minus and a minus. The factors of v squared are v and v. Now I need the values that are the factors of 126 that I can add to 25. Well, 126 is divisible by both 18 and 7, and 18 plus 7 is 25. So I have an 18 in one of them and a 7 in the other. Because I multiplied, I have to divide both of these by 9. Divide by 9. 18 divided by 9 is 2. So that one is good. It stays as v minus 2. But I do have to slide in the other one because 7 cannot be easily or evenly divided by 9. And that gives me a second factor of 9v minus 7. Now remembering that we did factor a 6 out at the beginning as our greatest common factor, that needs to come down to the front. And now we are factored. On our very last example, we have 4x squared minus 144. Again, I check for my GCF. My GCF is 4. I have a 4 in the front. I have 4x squared divided by 4 is x squared. And minus 144 divided by 4 is 36. Now, if you recognize you actually have two terms, you have the difference of binomials in the x squared and the 36 are both perfect squares. So I need two parentheses, one plus sign, one minus sign. The factors of x squared are x and x, and the square root of 36 is 6. So I put a 6 and a 6. And the 4 comes down to the front.